Welcome to the Camden County Chamber of Commerce's Get in Your Business podcast, your go-to source for all things small business in Camden County. I'm your host, Alison Shores, and each week we'll be diving into the heart of our community, bringing you inspiring interviews with local small business owners, insightful discussions on issues that matter, and the latest on events that could impact your business. Plus, don't miss out on our expert tips to help your business grow and thrive. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur or a seasoned business pro, this is the podcast for you. So let's get down to business. County. This is Alison Shores from the Camden County Chamber of Commerce, and we are back with the 7th episode of Get in Your Business podcast. And today I'm so excited because joining me is going to be Melissa from the Georgia Center of Innovation, which I have learned is a division of the Georgia Department of Economic Development. So Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you help out by first kind of letting our listeners know what the Georgia Centers of Innovation, what that's really all about? And let's start there. What is it all about?
Sure, absolutely. First, thank you for having me. Thrilled to be here and kind of talk a little bit about who we are and what we do. So the Georgia Centers of Innovation is actually a center. We started off almost 20 years ago, and there were multiple centers, but a few years ago, we consolidated into one. And we are a division of the Georgia Department of Economic Development. So if you see a peach at the end of a Marvel movie, that is our film office division.
Okay.
If you visit a visitor center, and the lovely folks there help you find the best barbecue in the county, they are part of our tourism division.
Okay.
So I am on the innovation team, the Center of Innovation, and that is our division. What we do, we're kind of a unique service. We really help businesses in two main ways. One is to kind of overcome different challenges, roadblocks that they may be facing. And then two, which is the part that I love to do, is connecting these businesses to the resources that they need so they can grow and innovate. That's who we are.
So are you usually in Atlanta, or are you at the Port of Savannah?
So we are actually spread all over across the state. We are in Atlanta, of course, and also Tifton and in different areas. I am actually stationed in our Savannah office along with my colleague, Jane Jordan. Because we are on the logistics team, we are strategically placed here. Our director, Sandy Lake, is in the Atlanta office. And so our scope is the whole state of Georgia, but we're located here in good old Savannah, Georgia.
Okay, so when you say logistics, what all does that entail?
The world. No, I'm kidding.
Everything.
Everything. Well, actually, it's funny because I just thought of this. So we were speaking with some kids, middle schoolers to be exact, and we were trying to explain logistics and supply chain and kind of get them interested. And then I saw a 6th grader kind of cock his head to the side and his face got really bright. And it's like this light bulb came on and he said, "Is this how I get Christmas?" I was like, yes, Grasshopper, this is how you get Christmas, or Hanukkah, or your birthday, or Kwanzaa, or whatever holiday that you celebrate. This is how you get it. So to answer your question, sorry, I just thought about that wonderful experience. I just wanted to share that.
Yes, thank you for sharing that.
It stuck with me. I was like, that needs to be on a T-shirt.
Yes.
So logistics really is a part or a component of a broader industry that we call supply chain. So supply chain being getting raw stuff, turning it into a product, and getting it in your hands in Camden County. And so the logistics part of that is the part that stores that stuff and moves that stuff. So you're talking about transportation carriers, any trailers, trucks you see on the road, containers that come from the port, also warehousing where all the stuff lives. Those are called third-party logistics, or there's fourth-party logistics or fifth-party logistics. The logistics is the storing of the stuff and the moving of the stuff, which is what we focus on.
Okay. So like down here, in Camden, we always hear about how great, the Port of Savannah is doing. And, we know that the Port of Brunswick is, growing and growing. But why is that? And what does that truly mean, for Georgia? And more specifically, how can that really impact Camden County?
So that's a good question. And the reason I'm sounding the way I'm sounding is because my brain is thinking of all these wonderful things. I'm like,
Right.
Which one should I bring up? Which one should I discuss? To answer your first question, why is that happening? Is because one reason that's happening is because consumers are really good at being consumers. We would like it all, and we would like it all, preferably in a few hours or tomorrow or in a week. And so because consumer demand increased over the last few years, even after the unfortunate pandemic, there has to be a place for all of this stuff. And so that is why you're seeing the increase in industrial real estate just boom all over the country. But actually here in Georgia, we're one of the top 3 spots in the entire country, this region, where industrial real estate is really taking off. So companies need more warehousing space to store that stuff so it can get to their consumers quicker. So because we have 3, major ports within hours of each other, it makes sense that some of that activity is coming to Camden County and the coastal region.
Okay.
It's just, we love our stuff. And so that demand is driving kind of that need for real estate. And being on the coast, the great thing about Camden County is that there are companies and businesses that would like to have an alternative to being inland, and they'd like to remain closer to the coast. So that's why you're seeing also there the increase in industrial real estate along coastal counties.
So I think you just answered my next question, but, I was talking with our friends over at the Joint Development Authority, and we were talking about the Gateway Logistics Center that's planned for Exit 7 and off 95. And it's going to be 3 million square feet. Is that correct? We see,
yes.
And we're seeing all these massive distribution centers all down I-95 and I-16. And, I was going to ask you, why are they such big operations, and what makes coastal Georgia like such an attractive place for these types of businesses? But you kind of answered that with the some of them want to be more inland. Yeah. No, that's good. So we know that a lot of manufacturing has moved to the Southeast and to Georgia in particular over the last few years. Have you and your team been a part of that?
Absolutely. And so this goes back to a little bit of our conversation earlier about the Georgia Department of Economic Development and our different divisions. And so we have different divisions that focus on, very specific actions. So for instance, as I'm part of the Georgia Center of Innovation, we also have a Georgia Global Commerce Division. And they're the team that's responsible for actually attracting those investments and those jobs to bring that growth to Georgia. In fact, my colleague, Dory Bacon, she's the senior project manager of Global Commerce. And so we work together. She helps those businesses expand or bring, headquarters down here in this region. And then they focus on that part. Where we come in at the Georgia Center of Innovation is to kind of connect them then to resources that will help them while they are here. Now, Global Commerce can do that as well, but because we're focused on logistics, we are kind of plugged into that ecosystem. And in a way, we have the capability to point them to other industry resources, even academic resources, colleges, universities in the area that, focus on supply chain. We also even help them if they need to figure out, how do I get my 100 containers of computer parts from the port of Brunswick to my customer in Tennessee? What is the best way to do that? What does that look like? What are the best lanes? What are the best modes of travel? Do I need to use a combination of truck and rail? Do I need to fly it there and have it in air cargo? We help them understand what their need is and kind of in a consulting kind of concierge way. Is that a word? It's a word now.
It is a word now. I love that word.
Concierge way.
Yes.
Help them with their logistics needs. And those are for only our Georgia-based businesses. I mean, we'll talk to other businesses, but we really want to focus on the Georgia-based businesses.
Well, that's pretty exciting. Okay, so
it's really cool.
Yeah. A few weeks ago, we had that Freeport exemption class 4 on the ballot, and we had talked to the Joint Development Authority about that, and it did pass for Camden County. And I know that they felt, the Joint Development Authority felt like it was pretty important. But from your point of view, what can you tell us about that?
I think from an economic development point of view, and actually also let me start by saying that Georgia Department of Economic Development is not a policymaking organization. We are not involved in that space, and our focus is on the economic development. So by having this in place, we understand that it makes sense because it has to do with the inventory or products that folks are storing. So if now you have an increase of inventory space and warehousing of, say, I don't know, maybe 3 million square feet, then reducing that burden, it makes sense. And we can see how that is a benefit. So it was really interesting to see folks come together to make a purposeful effort to pass the special election and how that would contribute to economic development in the area.
So you got to just kind of watch this go down, huh? As far as we don't have an opinion. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
So, all right. So my last question, we've got a lot of talented young people here whose parents would love to see them, stay close to home. And for those curious about a career in logistics, what would be a good way to explore that profession and learn kind of more about it?
Ooh, that is another. You've got all the good questions today, Alison. Okay.
Girl, I'm just pulling them out everywhere, Just questions. Got them. Go.
I would say, that's a good idea too. Okay, I had another one just come through my brain parts. Okay, so a couple of ideas I would say. One, there are a ton of the massive online courses, the MOOCs, as I've heard that they're called. That would be a cool place to start because a lot of these are complimentary, free, no cost, and the topics are so wide-ranging that you can spend a little bit of time and no money to find out, okay, what part of logistics or supply chain am I interested in? Am I interested in the procurement side and getting of the stuff? Am I interested in the operational side and making sure the stuff goes where, it's supposed to be? Am I interested in the marketing side? Because there is a marketing side to it, or the transportation side of it, getting the stuff to the person and getting it in their hands. And after going through, some courses or, taking some surveys, if something clicks, then you can delve more into it by connecting with local universities, local colleges in the area. Another good option would be to utilize there's an increasing number of supply chain and logistics camps over the summertime.
Wait,
and
what?
That would be a cool
camps?
Yeah, there's
what?
camps.
Okay.
In real life.
Stop it. Where can you find out about these camps?
I will, we have a list that come to us or folks that are wanting to help us spread the word. So we'll be glad to share some of that information with your listeners, and they can put those links in the show notes for you guys. But yeah, it's really cool. High school students, middle school students can come, and depending on what their interest is, they can learn more about the industry. There's field trips involved, take you to different locations, facilities. They had this one time last year, there was this VR forklift driving day. It was I was like, I want to stay here all day. It was incredible. So really getting like hands-on inside the environment is a good way to start. It's just, I get wax poetic about logistics and supply chain. I I can't help it. I'll
Listen,
stop talking now.
I'm going to be honest. Like, you've made me really excited about logistics. And I'm like, what? Supply chain? Like, it's not the sexiest thing to talk about, but you're making it like super fun. So I've actually enjoyed learning from you today. So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you, thank you just so much for your time today. Is there anything else that, maybe you'd like the folks down here in Camden County, maybe to know about Georgia's Center of, Innovation for Logistics? Is there anything that you want to put out there that I haven't asked or touched on today?
I would say, well, you know what? And I heard this the other day, and I would say that Camden County, you are not North Florida. Okay. You are South Georgia.
That. You're right.
And there's just, you're here, you're in Georgia, and you are in a strategic location, and that you are part of the coastal region in a way that contributes to the economic development of the state. So I know that has nothing to do with your question, but that just came into my mind, and I just wanted to say that part.
And I appreciate you saying that.
But to answer your question, absolutely. I would say go to georgia.org, a little shameless plug here, to take a look at our website there. You'll find a ton of information, ton of free resources, and you can get to our website, the Georgia Center of Innovation, from there.
Well, Melissa, thank you so much. I truly appreciate your time today. You have been nothing but a pleasure to talk to, and I just appreciate your time. So thank you for joining us on our podcast.
It has been a pleasure and indeed an honor. Thank you, Alison.
Thank you.